So, welcome to Shoreline Music Monthly. My name is Mark Koshwitz. Just want to take a quick second to give a shout out to Shoreline Times for sending Brian Ethier down here to talk to me and to write a nice article about our show. It's a great thing, bring a little awareness to, as we're trying to help bring awareness to all the folks who are playing amazing music out here. We bring you here the best of the original musicians and artists on the Shoreline area, and this month our 31st episode is no different. I am pleased to have in the station with me tonight a Stephen Roane from Madison, who's going to play you some music. I'm going to grill him first, as as usual, and maybe see what he's been up to. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Typically, I've met the guests that are on here through, seeing them play music. I believe you're the first person I've actually initially met through the Cabinet of Curiosities, which, and we've got another little piece here that we're going to see Stephen play in a little bit, but you're a bit of a fan of some of the odder musical instruments.
As you are.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Upcoming Cabinet of Curiosities will feature the Stoll violin, which is a rather unique piece. I don't want to give away too much right now. We'll go into depth on that in a little bit down the road. But let's get to Stephen here first. Multi-instrumentalist. So you're brought, I see you've got a lap steel.
Yeah.
We're going to play tonight.
Right.
And a little guitar.
Yep. A big guitar.
Big guitar. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. And now instrumentalist?
Yes.
Right, okay.
I've sung on some recordings, sometimes background, but I'd like to keep employment, so I play instrumentally.
Excellent. And speaking of some of your recordings, I was poking around your site. I see your discography is quite large, actually. It seemed to maybe 8, 10, 12 offerings?
As far as solo artists, 20-something.
Wow.
And
okay,
probably as a sideman, probably around 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I apparently didn't dig deep enough.
Oh. Well, when I lived in New York, I was primarily an upright jazz bass player. And I played guitar before bass, and it was the kind of thing where when I moved to Connecticut, the further from New York, the less opportunities there were for upright bass. So I started to work on guitar much more. I could play solo guitar. Nobody wants to go to a restaurant here 4 hours of solo bass. So
there's a couple of us that might, but you're right. You're much better off armed with 6.
Yeah, and then just as a survival, I mean, I've always just made a career playing music, and I had there was a period where I was an audio engineer for a record company for a number of years, but just done music, so I have to diversify, and same way, if I was just to, I teach, and if I was just to teach bass, I wouldn't have many students. So I developed to the point of, aside from guitar, I teach most of the string instruments: violin, banjo, mandolin, Celtic harp, all, cello.
Wow. Because yeah, I mean, the things with, I mean, some of the string instruments translate very nicely, but when you all of a sudden hop to like a bowed instrument,
yeah, or
something, I mean, that's a whole different discipline.
Yes, yeah, and it's great because it's I've learned so much recently. The most difficult one for me is violin. Cello was very similar to double bass, when I would bow, so I was familiar with that. But the other instruments, it's about tuning, and it's the same concept applies. So I tried playing a recorder, I couldn't even get a sound out of it.
So now, if our folks were looking for you, you sometimes play solo as
Just me.
Stephen Roane.
Right.
You're also in a combo or two?
Yeah, I presently play with a trio, more of an electric original group. Bassist Tim Barry, Jason Apostolaris on drums. We have a group called Bop Tweed, and we play in the Shoreline area. And we don't do restaurants or clubs or anything. We do more concerts, and so that's where we had 2 albums we did with the sax player part of the band, and now we're down to a trio, and so it's a whole different sound, but it's original music. Yeah.
And there's a surprising, or maybe it isn't surprising, there is a very diverse original music scene in this area. If you look for it.
Yeah,
yeah. There's, which, as folks who watch this show know, the genesis of this show was in switching from, we were talking, I lived in the New Haven, West Haven area, and open mics were basically, jams,
Right.
Out this way, after all that, getting the house ready and you start mingling with, the new area,
Right.
the open mics around here were more, at least the ones I found,
Yeah.
initially were folks writing.
Yeah.
And
Singer-songwriter type.
Yeah, singer-songwriter, and yeah, it was, so that's basically how this show came to be, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now, you mentioned teaching. I saw also on you seem very multidimensional. I saw also prowling your websites, you also paint?
Yeah. I do, I paint oil, and I studied and do wood engraving, wood cuts, and printmaking. But the main thing is oil painting. I lived in Wilton, Connecticut for just a short time, and I did the best there. I sold lots of paintings there. And it seems like the further east I come, the less opportunities I have. So I've sold some paintings around here, but this is a great place to paint the area. And so,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that's another area that I'm involved in is fine art. I've always been involved with fine art, yeah.
So you keep it diverse, I like that. All right, welcome back. I'm here once again with Stephen Roane, and he has foolishly agreed to play From the Hip, the action-packed game where we just ask a bunch of scattered random questions and see what happens.
Great.
So nothing controversial. Do you recall what the first bit of music that you might have purchased was?
Beatles 45, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Okay, that wasn't the one with the flip side of Helter Skelter, was it?
No, only if you played it backwards.
And I have to ask this every month, because cannolis, yes or no?
Love cannolis.
Everybody loves cannolis. How many different states have you lived in?
Just two, New York and Connecticut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Connecticut's better, right?
Always.
And what would your favorite Shoreline spot to see live music be?
That's an interesting question.
There's a bunch of them, but yeah, they all get their own.
One place I like is Cuckoo's Nest. Charlie Sutton has been in residence there for 35 years, solo piano, and he plays with Jeff Fuller, great bass player. And I sub sometimes there, so I'll play with Charlie.
Nice.
So it's nice to have jazz, acoustic jazz, piano and upright bass, and it's, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Excellent. What was the first instrument you learned to play, and how old were you?
Drums when I was 7. My father played drums, my brother played drums. They were both better. My older brother told me then that therefore, when we heard the Beatles, that I was to play the guitar, so I played guitar.
All right. Well, that's sounds like a win to me, actually, but then again, I can't keep time. But now, what's the strangest place you've ever gigged?
Wow, that's a. I played for a private organization in the St. Moritz Hotel. A black tie affair for some of the biggest CEOs in the world. And they made the new members sing humiliating songs. And they hired...
And were you the back line?
We were the backup band. And when the new recruiters sang poorly, they had mounds of dinner rolls that they threw at the singers.
Yeah, that's an odd one. That's an odd one. I don't know how to follow that. All right, we're going to get Stephen Roane back out here in just a second. But I had a thought, and I was looking for a little help, I think. This is, as mentioned, episode 31, so we're 2.5 years plus rolling along. And don't get me wrong, I love the theme music for the show. I picked it out, so I like it. It's rootsy. It's kind of so it's served well. But I was thinking, with all the wonderful musicians that we have around here on the Shoreline, that maybe we could have. I don't know. I hesitate to call it a contest, but just if anyone has any interest in putting together what you think the theme of Shoreline Music Monthly should sound like. No demerits if you've been a guest, or no problem if you're waiting to be a guest, if you've never been a guest, if you're a recorded musician, non-recorded musician. Just if you can get something down on an MP3, email it to shorelinemusicmonthly@gmail.com. Or send me a link to YouTube or Bandcamp or wherever it might reside. It could be a vocal, it doesn't have to be, it could be instrumental. But I thought it might be neat to actually have local musicians playing the theme for the local show. And if you have an interest in that, it would be great if we could get a bunch in and pick maybe a favorite or two. But year 4 is going to start in another few months. I think that'd be a great time to maybe change up the sound. And so remember, we're public access, so it's not like you're going to get paid, but you all musicians all know that, you do it for the exposure, right? Sorry, bad joke. But anyway, if it's something that you have an interest in, send it in to shorelinemusicmonthly@gmail.com. I'd love to change up the sound of our credits. You get your name in the credits rolling, and it might be fun. I mean, there's no rules, really. Whatever genre it is that you play in, if you want to submit it, by all means. And once again, thank you all for watching, and do yourself a favor, get out, see a show, see some of these amazing musicians out there in the wild doing what they love to do. And we'll see you next month.